Hey there, CineMaster fans. Hope you're ready for some movie magic. Let's dive right in. The movie Gaia begins in a dense African jungle. Soon after, we meet two forest rangers, one named Winston and his colleague Gabby, who are on a surveillance mission. They are riding a small boat, moving along the river with the thick forest surrounding them from all sides. Gabby is controlling a drone, filming the area from above. Suddenly, she sees a strange boy who knocks the drone down, and the signal cuts off. Gabby insists that she has to go into the jungle to retrieve the device, even though Winston warns her that it's not safe and that they shouldn't leave the river and go into the jungle because people disappear there. But Gabby replies that they can't just leave their trash in the jungle, and her argument convinces Winston. Gabby then enters the jungle alone while Winston waits in the boat. At the same time, we see the boy from earlier, but this time he's with another man, and they're carrying the ranger's drone. As Gabby goes deeper into the jungle, the two men smear mud on a surveillance camera. Gabby notices that the drone has disappeared and is surprised not to find it, even though she was sure it fell in that spot. She tries to use her phone, but there's no signal. While the two men are setting up some traps, Winston checks the camera and realizes he can't see anything because it's covered, which scares him a lot. It's clear the two men know all the secrets of the jungle. They take some kind of plant, grind it into powder, and let it spread in the air. Now Gabby is alone and lost. She tries to contact Winston, but he's no longer in the boat. As she looks at the map to find her way, she feels like something is watching her and starts to sense hostility in the place. When she looks again toward the thing, whatever it was has disappeared. Gabby starts to hear many sounds coming from the jungle and decides the best thing is to leave, not realizing she's heading straight for the men's trap. She doesn't notice the rope on the ground, steps on it, and triggers the trap, which pierces her leg. She screams in pain, quickly gets up and tries to use the radio to call Winston for help. As she does, something rushes past her, so she has no choice but to try to get out of there any way she can. She pulls out the stick from her leg and keeps walking until she sees a strong red light coming from deep in the jungle. Meanwhile, Winston is searching for his friend in the boat. As the red light grows so strong that day turns into night, Winston decides to leave the boat and look for her in the jungle. We see Gabby standing face to face with the red light, and for a moment, she seems hypnotized. Winston calls out for his friend, but suddenly hears a strange sound echoing throughout the jungle. Out of fear, he loses his balance and falls into the swamp water. The sounds continue, and for a brief moment, Winston sees something behind a tree and thinks it's Gabby, so he runs after it. But we see that Gabby has actually reached the men's hut. She approaches, knocks on the door and asks if anyone is inside. Of course, there's no answer. So she decides to enter, finds many things, and since she's injured, she decides to use the place to rest and treat her wound. Winston finally gets out of the swamp, but the creature has almost reached him and starts making frightening sounds, forcing him to run away in terror. Meanwhile, Gabby is asleep in the hut and has a nightmare in which she sees herself returning something strange, which leaves her very confused. She wakes up suddenly and is surprised to find the two men standing in front of her. One of the men approaches Gabby quickly and threatens her with a knife to her throat, asking who sent her. Gabby explains that she was only here to retrieve her drone, and that she fell into a trap. The man looks at her leg and tells her she ruined their trap. Back to Winston, who is terrified and hiding behind a tree, trying to convince himself that none of this is real. But unfortunately, something starts to approach him, and when he turns to look, he is shocked to see a humanoid creature walking on all fours. Without thinking for a moment, he runs away. In the hut, the men decide to take care of Gabby. Out of curiosity, she asks their name. The man introduces himself as Berend and says the other is his son, Steven. He asks if she's from the city, but Gabby replies that she's at the ranger station. Berend asks how many rangers there are now. A bit later, as they prepare dinner, Gabby hears the same strange sound again and asks Berend what it could be. He replies that it's just an old cow bumping into a tree branch. Meanwhile, Winston finds himself face to face with the monster, which quickly approaches him. Winston tries to pull out a knife but discovers he's lost it, so he decides to run again. The humanoid creature lets out a terrifying scream. Back in the hut, everyone gets ready to sleep, but Gabby says she saw someone outside who didn't look human. The two men seem to know about it and fall silent to listen. Winston is hiding again and doesn't notice when mushroom roots start creeping toward him until he is attacked. Back to the three in the hut, Berend prepares a remedy to treat Gabby's wound. She's still asleep, so he leaves his son to take care of her. The boy has never seen a woman before, so he looks at her curiously but does nothing more. Again, Gabby has a strange dream in which she sees plants growing out of her body. She wakes up terrified, only to find herself alone in the hut, because the father and son have gone hunting. Gabby tries to contact Winston. He answers and says his name. She asks where he is, but he seems confused and says strange things, which makes Gabby even more worried. While Gabby lights a fire to warm up, Berend and his son are hunting. Berend manages to kill a wild boar, and as he approaches the prey, he smears some of the animal's blood on his son's face and asks Mother Nature to forgive him for what he's done. As they perform their strange ritual, they smell smoke, caused by Gabby lighting a small fire in the hut, so someone can find her. Berend enters the hut angrily and tells her it's forbidden to light a fire during the day. Gabby replies that she did it so her colleague could find her from the smoke. Berend says he would have found her anyway since they have radios to contact each other. She tells him she's worried about her friend because she heard strange noises earlier, but he ignores her and says he'll take her back later. At night, Berend continues treating Gabby's wound, while she tries to contact Winston, but there's no response. Gabby gives up and starts talking to Berend, telling him that his son should be in school and not living in the jungle. Berend replies that his son is learning everything he needs. Gabby also asks about his wife, and the man tells her he lost his wife to bone cancer 13 years ago. Gabby tells him she's sorry for his loss, but he comments and says, "This is life," so she asks him what he used to do before he came here. Plants, and that after Lily, his wife, left him, everything changed. His wife was a chemical engineer. Stephen approaches Gabby to give her a necklace, and Bernd tells her to give it to her so she'll remember them. The woman thanks him but finds all of this very strange. Now we see Winston's corpse, lifeless and covered with some mushrooms and plants, just like the dream Gabby had. In the cabin, Gabby dreams the same dream again, but this time the plant starts to enter her mouth. Bernd wakes her up quickly, but puts his hand over her mouth because that entity is hovering around the cabin. Stefan grabs his bow, and the creature tries to enter. Bernd asks Gabby if she'll be able to stay calm, and she says yes, she can. The entity tries to enter at any cost, and Bernd warns her that if they manage to get in, she must stay still in her place because those creatures are blind. They start to smear some liquid on their bodies, and the father and son get ready to face the monster. Gabby is about to be attacked, but Bernd acts quickly and manages to protect her. One of the humanoid creatures manages to enter the cabin, but Stefan shoots it with an arrow, and it retreats. This calm doesn't last long because another one appears and tries to attack Bernd. As he said before, all they have to do is stay still and not move because those creatures are blind. They move lightly, but Gabby makes noise and draws the creature's attention. Stefan tries to help. He attacks it several times. The father and son fight it together until they succeed and drive the creature away. Bernd quickly closes the door when he sees Gabby covered in the creature's blood. Stefan quickly takes off his clothes, which confuses the woman. Bernd asks her to trust them, and Stefan starts to clean the blood off Gabby. Bernd notices she's injured, and Gabby feels unwell and then faints. Afterward, Bernd explains that these creatures are humanoid fungi that prefer humans and feed on every part of the body. Even after this explanation, Gabby asks him what kind of madness he's talking about, and Bernd tells her that it's simply the largest living organism on the planet and lives beneath their feet. He explains that these creatures are older than all of human history and are ready to but the boy responds, saying it's time to sleep. After that, the woman has another dream in which she sees herself in the middle of the forest, and someone appears behind her and touches her, but immediately the fungus appears on her neck, which shocks her, and she wakes up. Stefan is beside her and tells her she's beautiful. She accepts it and shows him her phone, takes a picture of the two of them, and shows him other pictures from her life. Stefan is amazed, but his father suddenly appears, calls Gabby a monster, and asks her to leave the house. Stefan and Bernd decide to go somewhere else. At this time, Gabby gathers the remains of her phone that Bernd broke and finds a book with some notes. Meanwhile, Bernd offers a sacrifice, kneels before a tree, looks inside it and finds many fungi growing. He leaves some blood inside the tree, takes one of the fungi, and starts to eat it. He gives another one to his son, and then looks at his wound, worried. Bernd returns home and finds Gabby reading his stuff. He also notices she's been infected, which worries her, but he asks her to leave. Stefan seems not to agree with his father's decisions but says nothing. After a while he hears a sound and decides to check what it is. As soon as his father leaves, Stefan looks for something to help Gabby, to the point where he licks the fungus on her arm and then hugs. Gabby pats the boy and tells him she'll visit him all the time. Bernd returns and says it's time to leave. Gabby asks him to let her take Stefan with her, but the father laughs sarcastically. As they walk, Gabby asks the man how they are not infected by the thing living beneath them. He replies that they are infected. They keep walking until Gabby finds a flashlight and Winston. She heads toward the humanoid fungi's lair, and Bernd warns her it's dangerous, but Gabby ignores him. Bernd reluctantly decides to follow her. Gabby finds a surveillance camera and removes the memory card. They walk a bit more and find Winston's corpse covered with many fungi. When Gaby touches her friend's body, she discovers he's still alive. Winston asks her to kill him quickly, but Gaby refuses and tells him she could take him to the hospital. Bernd prepares to take action, but Gaby stops him and asks if there's any way to help him. All Bernd does is give Winston an arrow, and he chooses to die immediately. Gaby's loud crying attracts more humanoid creatures, and Bernd asks her to hurry so they can get out of there. They both return to the cabin quickly, and wake up Stefan, who is happy that Gaby has returned. Bernd quickly closes all the cabin's entrances, because more creatures are approaching. At night, Gaby has another dream and wakes up realizing the fungus is spreading. She tells Bernd she knows he has medicine to control it, but he ignores her and leaves. Gaby asks Stefan where his father went, and the boy replies he went to pray. She takes advantage of Bernd's absence and asks about the boy's mother. He says he has few memories of her, but she's living in the forest now, and Gaby doesn't understand. The boy immediately tells her he'll show her. Meanwhile, Bernd, while praying, hears sounds from the humanoid fungi and is shocked, and we see the same red light in the background. At the same time, Gaby tries to convince Stefan to leave with her, telling him he could become a forest ranger too. She tries in every way to take him, even telling him there are many women waiting for him, but Stefan remembers his father said everyone will die soon. Shortly after, the man enters the cabin, his face pale and obviously terrified. The next day, Bernd performs his usual rituals with his son and gives him another mushroom. Gaby's infection starts to spread faster. Bernd and Stefan return home, and Bernd notices the boy is excited to be back. When Stefan gets home, he approaches Gaby, but it's just to give her the mushroom his father gave him. Bernd doesn't comment and asks her if she's ready to return to her life, but when she sees the treatment is working, she tells him she wants to stay. Bernd says nothing and leaves. Stefan is overjoyed at the news and decides to teach Gaby how to use the bow. He decides to take her to their sacred tree, the same tree she saw in her dream. Stefan and Gaby start playing, and Bernd is collecting her phone from the pieces she gathered. Gaby manages to see the photos she took of him and the creatures. In short, Bernd gets involved in the conversation. Gaby says she wants to know about the religion Bernd is so proud of, but this angers him more. His tone changes, but he decides to show her. Afterwards, he and his son make preparations, and Stefan puts red dye on Gaby's face, and Bernd blows magic powder on her face. A little later, Gaby wakes up again at the sacred tree, and has many bad visions at the same time, but this time, she wakes up in the real world. She asks Bernd where she was, and he tells her she was in the Temple of Dreams, and it adds that if more than 4 hours have passed since she went into those dreams, the woman says she feels as if months have gone by. Bernd asks her what she said, but Gaby doesn't understand anything. She looks at Steven and realizes that this too was a dream. Bernd asks her the same question he asked in the dream, wanting to know what that thing wants. We discover that the monster wants to claim the life of Baron's son, but the man doesn't have the courage to do that to his son. Gaby and Stefan become closer than ever before. They laugh together, and Baron keeps thinking about what he will do about what was asked of him. At night, Baron decides to go out and pray. Gaby and Stefan try to escape, but they run into Baron again on their way. Stefan's father tells him he doesn't understand why his son wants to leave with him, that he always protected him. Gaby pulls out a knife to try to stop the man, but he keeps walking. Baron says she should take Stefan to live a life of servitude in the city, but Gaby replies that he's just a madman. She says she managed to take Baron's book and will expose him to the whole world. But just as they are about to leave, Baron tells his son there's nothing to discover in this world. Baron claims that if Stefan leaves him now, his mother's sacrifice will have been in vain. But Gaby says he's the one who killed his wife. Baron responds that she chose to die there and reminds his son of their great journey, the pilgrimage they made together. The boy gives up on the idea of escaping again with Gaby and returns to his father, while Gaby decides to leave. The two remain in the hut, but halfway through her journey, she feels something strange and decides to go back and watch them from afar. Stefan asks where they are going, and Baron replies that they are going to make a sacrifice, and he seems affected because he is about to do it. Gaby goes to the hut and takes a bow, while the father and son walk toward the sacred tree. Stefan still doesn't understand, as he doesn't see the sacrifice or offerings with them, but his father tells him their God will provide them, so they keep going. Then, as Gaby tries to rescue Stefan, she finds a humanoid mushroom and hides behind a tree. We return to Baron, who explains the truth to his son, telling him that the god chose him, and the preparations begin. Baron strikes his son on the back, and Gaby tries to escape from the humanoid creatures, managing to strike one. After understanding his father's plan, the boy tries to resist his fate, but the tree begins to grab him, and Baron prepares to kill him. Just as he is about to do so, Gabby appears to help, but the tree branches quickly grab her and imprison her. Luckily, she manages to free herself and shoots an arrow at Berend, but its effect is very weak. He attacks her quickly, and Stefan runs to help her, but Gabby faints and falls to the ground. A humanoid mushroom approaches her, and they are face to face, but Stefan runs to help his beloved. While fighting the monster, Berend drags Gabby by her hair to the tree. Stefan succeeds in killing the creature, and when Berend is about to kill Gabby, Stefan saves her at the last moment and stabs his father in the back. Berend falls to the ground and tries to manipulate his son, telling him it was just a test, but when Gabby sees another creature nearby, she tells them to escape and leave Berend to die. The two then return to the hut. While Gabby is taking a shower, she has another vision. The creature tries to communicate with her, but she wakes up, takes Berend's book and starts reading it. Meanwhile, Berend is fighting not to turn into a humanoid mushroom, trying everything to make the tree give him another chance, but it's no use. In the end, he becomes infected again, without the mushroom that once protected him. At the same time, Gabby, who is already infected, is slowly dying without the mushroom to protect her. She asks Stefan to go see the world. After a few days, we see the infection has completely taken over her, and she is about to turn into a humanoid mushroom. She asks Stefan to finish her off quickly, and he fulfills her request. Stefan is now alone, and the living creature appears more than ever before. He decides to heed his beloved's advice and leave the cursed forest. He is now in the big city, living a new life, still trying to get used to all these new things, but living safely, away from all the madness he witnessed. But what he doesn't know is that everything he touches becomes contaminated, and that's the end of the film. See you in a new summer.